Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In today's video it's going to be a first for this channel, and it's going to be a three-way comparison between three companies that have produced a Boeing 777-200ER. Obviously we have three British Airways 777-200ERs here. We have one by Gemini Jets, Phoenix models and then NG models. They're but all really good models. Obviously one of them is in the One World livery. There are some minor imperfections on all of them, but we'll get into that when we're actually comparing them. So let's just start off with the boxes. First one we're going to look at is the Gemini Jets box. Now obviously being a Gemini Jets model, it's a rather boring looking box. All you have is the Gemini Jets logo made for collectors by collectors, the clip art, and just a blue background. You do have the look inside tab, the aircraft tiles and the airline tiles. You then have detail where it says 1:400 scale die-cast model and all that. We have the Boeing 777-200ER right there, which looks pretty good. The large Gemini Jets logo there, adult collectible model, and then at the back where we have the kind of copyright claims, well, made in China, Boeing 777, well, Boeing licensed product, and the release date, which is 2015, and they have like a little CGI of the aircraft kind of climbing out. The only good thing about Gemini boxes, in my opinion, are the little flaps you get, the pop open tabs, which look pretty good. If you want to pause to read any of this, please feel free to. There you go. Moving on to the Phoenix box, this one looks a lot nicer. It's a thinner box as well. It's a very thin box. You have a bunch of colours. You have a nice CGI of the aircraft at like cruising altitude. You've got a nice sky in the background. The One World logo, 1:400 scale. You can see British Airways with the speedboat check, the registration, and the colours. It's just a more vibrant and appealing looking box. You've got the aircraft up here. You can see the warning. Again, this is a Phoenix box. They all look pretty good in my opinion. The barcode. At the side you have the clip art, Boeing 777-200ER with the One World and scale. The same on these sides. And then at the back we have like kind of the same as the front in a way. We have like a sky in the background, the CGI of the aircraft cruising. Got these really cool little arrows. I think that's meaning like the pressure of the cabin or whatever. We got the Boeing 777-200ER titles there. What I said about the pressure thing is probably just a load of BS, I'm not sure. Got the registration and the scale and the One World here. It's again a very thin box. It's very nice though. It's a rather detailed box. Again, there's no flap on Phoenix models, but honestly they look way more appealing than the Gemini Jets boxes, because they just look more vibrant and just more, you know, by me. We then have the NG models box, which is my favourite out of the three. You can see all the lovely contrast colours. You got the clip art, the Boeing 777-200. Again, it doesn't say ER here, which is a bit weird, but you got the kind of tail at the background, and you have the Chelsea Rose bit there when the Chelsea Rose was released with this aircraft. It's a very thick box as well, very thick. It uses styrofoam as well instead of just a plastic cradle. NG models, 1:400 scale, collectible models, die-cast metal. You got the copyright logo there. You also have a clip art down by the side of the box. NG models with the barcode. Again, British Airways. It's a bit bland at the sides, but honestly, NG always do a good job at their boxes. And British Airways with the speedboat check, Boeing 777-200. With more like looking red colours. I forgot to say here with the red, it's like a dark red and then it fades into like the white. And the back is no different to the front. It's literally the exact same without the NG logos or the titles of the aircraft. The colours just are so vibrant, it looks amazing. Got the barcode, the warning and the copyright claims right here. You can see their socials there. Overall, this is probably the best box out of the three. It just looks amazing, and I cannot wait to collect more NG models. They are just so much nicer to collect in my opinion. Just like the Phoenix box, it just makes the aircraft and the model itself look more appealing, because you know you want to collect the boxes with the model as well. Like half the value is with the box. So the first model we're going to look at is the Gemini Jets one. The front, you can see here's the front. The nose shape looks really good. We got the nose cone details. The cockpit windows actually look spot on in my opinion. You can see the front there, which looks actually pretty good. This is an older model, so it is going to be very nice. We do have the downfall of this aircraft though, which is the landing gear. It's way too tall. You can compare it to Phoenix. You can see the nose on the Phoenix one is a bit lower. You can see that the Phoenix nose is actually, I think, looks a bit more realistic. The cockpit windows, again, look really good on the Phoenix one. And if we bring the NG one, surprisingly, the Gemini one is actually taller. Because I thought the NG gear was quite tall as well, but it actually looks really good. The nose on the NG models one is spot on, and the cockpit windows, in my opinion, I think the cockpit windows do look a tiny bit too small, but that could just be me. It does look very, very nice with the details and the printed graphics on it as well. We then have the titles and the colours and the decals. You see the Speedbird check, British Airways, and then the cabin windows with the L2 door. They look really spot on to me. The colours are perfect on this one, which is something I don't usually say about a Gemini Jets model, but there you go. The printed graphics is nice, and then you have the engine, which are Rolls-Royce Trent engines. Again, they look absolutely spot on. Now we're on to the Phoenix. You can see the One World logo, the L1 and L2 door, member of One World, and then with the British Airways titles. The colours are actually a tiny bit more saturated on this model. I can tell that I think that's for all of them. Out of the three, the Phoenix one has the brightest, most saturated colours. They don't look bad or anything, but it is just nice. The blue looks really nice as well, and then we move on to this engine. They're supposed to be the same engines, but they look a bit like a mixture of the Rolls-Royce Trent and the GE90 engine, so the engines on this one are a bit incorrect, but it's not too bad. And then pulling up the NG one now, we have the British Airways titles and the Speedbird check. Now for me, I think the Gemini Jet titles are actually a bit better than on the NG one. In my opinion, the titles look a bit more realistic on the Gemini one than they do on the NG models one. The NG models one is still really, really good, but in my opinion, the Gemini Jets one is a tiny bit more realistic. You got the colours. Again, just like Phoenix models, the NG colours are a bit more vibrant, saturated. It looks like they've put a bit more contrast onto it. But, you know, there's no issue in that. You then have the GE90 engine, which looks very, very nice. It's my only GE90 BA777 I have. I would like to get the Chelsea Rose one possibly, but just have to see what money is doing. The details on the engine look really, really good. The inside of the turbofan as well, that also looks very realistic. There's the inside of the Gemini one. As you can see, the Gemini Jets one isn't as detailed on the inside for the turbine, but it's still really nice. It still does look pretty good. You got the grey kind of piece. It is one little piece of plastic that sits inside this engine. Then the Phoenix one. Now the Phoenix ones are the best. They actually do spin. I'm not going to try and attempt it because I actually did break one of my Singapore A380 ones, so I'm not going to try it again. But the engine blades actually spin, and you can see through the engines. You can see there, which is a massive, amazing attention to detail right there. We're now going to move on to the wings. Now here is the Gemini Jets one. Again, the details, they look pretty spot on to me. The colours are pretty nice. I don't know what that is. I think that's a quality issue right there, but it is a bit dusty as well. I've had it on my shelf for like a few months. But the detail on the wing, you know, the walkway details are sat right there. The grey, there isn't a huge amount of detail, unlike the the Phoenix and the NG one. However, Gemini Jets have still done a really, really good job on it. You can kind of see the manufacturing kind of marking on the wings there as well, which is not really a nice touch if you want proper realism. You can see the flaps and the spoilers kind of engravements there, and then the leading edge of the wings. The wings are actually set up at a good angle as well, which is really hard to find on Gemini Jets models nowadays, but this is an 11-year-old model. We then have the Phoenix wings. They're pretty much identical, nearly identical. The engravements for the spoilers and the flaps aren't as deep. As you can see, they are a bit hard to, they are easy to miss, I'd say. And the walkway details on the wings are a little bit more detailed, and you can see the leading edge of the wings look a bit nicer as well. The wings sit up at the exact same angle as the Gemini ones, and you can see the navigation lights painted on the end of the wing, which the Gemini one had as well, and the Gemini one does look a bit better. We then have the NG wing. Just like the Phoenix one, the engravements of the spoilers and the flaps aren't too deep, so they're easy to miss. You then have the walkway details on the wings again. There is that same kind of manufacturing kind of thing on the wings, which has a little bit of a scrape on it, but honestly it's very, very hard to see, unlike the Gemini one. The Phoenix one didn't really have that actually, so that's really nice. I've got to say, I think the NG one is on par with the Gemini Jets one, so Phoenix models wins for the wings. I forgot to mention that the wings actually do have a slightly higher angle than the others, but honestly it looks really, really good. Moving on to the tailplane of the aircraft, you can see more cabin windows, L3 and L4 door. We have the registration, the Royal Mail logo, and the registration of this one, which is Golf Yankee Mike Mike Romeo, Boeing 777, and then the main bit which we're looking at is the tail. Now the tail on this actually looks really good. This is the Gemini Jets model once again. We have the horizontal stabilizers which are at the perfect angle. The tail again is absolutely flawless. I cannot fault anything with this one. The colours and the angle of the pitch of the titles on the or the prints on the tail just looks spot on to the real aircraft. The angle as well of the tints looks really, really good. Then you've got the APU, which is painted very nicely. I think it could be a tiny bit bigger on this, but however it's still really, really nice. You can see like the little shadow effect on it, kind of representing the inside piping of it. It looks really, really good. We then have the Phoenix one, which doesn't actually have as much detail on the side. You can see the L3, L4 door, and it doesn't have those like two red lines that were on the Gemini one. You can see the Royal Mail logo, registration, cabin windows, the antennas. One little nice attention to detail is there's a red antenna on the bottom. On the Gemini one it was just a standard white one. You then have the actual tail, which looks really, really good. The colours are a bit more vibrant. I think the Gemini one looks a tiny bit better. There's a little side comparison of the two. Honestly, you guys can also be the judge of this as well. You can also vote which one is your favourite in the comment section below. In my opinion, the Gemini Jets one, it just looks a little bit more realistic. And also note, we have the British Airways, well the Boeing 777 titles next to the L4 door. On the Phoenix one, we actually do not have that, which is another minus point for Phoenix. And the stabilizers aren't as high of an angle, and they actually have more detail on this than the Gemini one, which is a bit ironic. Then moving on to the NG models one, we have the two red lines at the bottom of the doors with the L3, L4 door, the Royal Mail logo with the registration, which is actually a bit smaller than the other two. I don't think it is as realistic in my opinion. It looks a bit too small, just like the Royal Mail logo, it's a bit too small. You do have the tail as well, which looks pretty good to me. Again, it looks exactly the same as the Phoenix one, so I think Gemini Jets wins with the tail section. The stabilizers as well are the same angle as the Gemini one and have the same details as the Phoenix one. So honestly, I think NG and Gemini Jets will pass this. Phoenix will lose a point for that. Moving on to the final part of the video, we have the undersides of the aircraft. Now this one this is the Gemini one, obviously it has the Gemini Jets copyright logo there. The landing gear doors, which don't have an insane amount of detail. You see the stand hole, we got a little painted beacon light there, and you can see the blue underbelly with the doors right here, which look pretty good. I'll give you a closer view of the doors, which look, there you go. Again, the gear does tilt, but it's not, the wheels don't really roll that well. This one doesn't tilt as well, but honestly it's not a toy, so I'm not too bothered. You can see all the individual little bits. There isn't too much detail on the underside of this one. You can see the little engravements for the landing lights as well. We then have the Phoenix one. This one, what I really like about this is that it doesn't actually have the copy, like a Phoenix Models logo, which I really like. I think there is a little hole there where an antenna, oh no, there is an antenna there. It just looked like it was missing. Got the gear doors, the stand hole, the landing light details, and then we got some, there are actually more prints on the front, like there's more little bits printed on the front on this one, but the main section of the fuselage isn't as detailed as the Gemini one. The gear does tilt, and it does look, it actually does tilt and roll way better than the Gemini one. The details are actually a tiny bit better than the Gemini one for this. We then have the NG one. The main gears, again, they look really good. They rolled perfectly. They don't tilt, unfortunately. You can see the individual details. You have the antenna, then these little dots right here. We have the main gear doors, which are just little tiny printed tiles, just like the other two. They are a little bit more faint than the others. You then have the painted beacon light, which I don't think the Phoenix one actually had. You got the landing lights, the stand hole, and then you got a lot of little individual printed pieces on the front right there. You see right there all the tiny little bits printed, which is just insane attention to detail. Then you got the nose gear. The gear is just spot on, apart from there's no tilting bit, which isn't a complete bad thing, but it's a nice touch to them. And then you can see those little printed bits next to the doors and the beacon lights. And that wraps it up for today's video. Now, this was my first comparison video on this channel, so I do apologise if it wasn't really good or if it was a bit rushed. I did actually kind of mumble a lot. But I will try to get better at these kind of videos. I want to make more of these because I do have some aircraft that are the exact same from different companies. I have a KLM. Well, I'm not going to spoil the aircraft actually, but I do have some models that are the same but from different companies, so that'll be really interesting. This will probably be my only kind of triple comparison because I used to collect a lot of British Airways aircraft, so that's the reason I have 3 different company 777-200s. I do want to make more. The next video is going to be an unboxing video again. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please share it if you want to. Again, the next video will be an unboxing video, which is going to be very exciting, hopefully. And that's about it. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.